What's good? It's your boy Jay. That's me. Let's discuss Impact Wrestling for July the 13th, 2023. This was the go-home show to Saturday's Slammiversary. So we will go over the preview and predictions for Slammiversary. This was an okay go-home show, if we're being honest. It could have been better. But most go-home shows aren't really strong anyway, if we're being honest. Most of them are not. It doesn't matter the promotion. So we kicked the show off with a clip from Busted Open Radio where it was announced that Deonna would be filling in for Steve Maclin, who got injured during the Impact Down Under event in Australia. So, this made me not even give a shit about the match now. I cared a small bit, but now that Deonna's involved, I couldn't give a fuck at all. I have no fucks to give. No fucks. Zero fucks to give. First match of the night, Chris Bey versus Zachary Wentz. So, Zachary Wentz gets the win via, I believe it was a roll-up pin, because Trey Miguel distracted the ref. So this allowed for Zachary Wentz to get the win. So this is fine here. Good stuff. I'm glad that my boy Zachary is back and he's working again, which is always a good thing. I wonder if he'll ever go back to WWE. Probably so, but it'll probably be a while before he goes back. I just want to put it out there. Moving on. So we then see footage from earlier on in the night from before the Impact BTI of Dirty Dango versus Heath. Dirty Dango taunted Santino about his daughter. He called her a bitch, which was great. Really good heel heat there. I loved it. Made me laugh. It really did. Security held back Santino. Then Dirty Dango decked Santino with a nasty right. So then this leads us into backstage. The Rascals, they interrupted Santino and Scott D'Amore. The Rascals wanted to be added to the tag match at Slammiversary. Santino said they cheated and he never promised that they would be added if they won. So the Rascals then walk out and Trey said he would regret it. Again, this makes no sense. I don't know why you wouldn't add them to the match. They just defeated one half of the tag team champions, which is a WWE move, if we're being honest. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It is what it is, though. They'll probably end up getting involved in the match anyway at Slammiversary. Moving on. So then we get a video on Alex Shelley winning the Impact World Championship from Steve Maclin, and Nick Aldis winning the number one contenders match. And then just, saying why each of them want to win the Impact World Championship, and what it means to them. So, who cares? Moving on. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Kevin Knight. I love my boy Kevin Knight. I wish that he would get more shine. Speedball gets the win here via the Ultimate Weapon. This is a pretty decent match. The crowd was super into it. Because Kevin is from Atlanta. I think Impact was in Atlanta for, I want to say, close to 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks they were in Atlanta. So, cool stuff there. They need to go to Atlanta more, if we're being honest. Pretty decent little crowd for them. Next. This was great right here. I love this shit. Monster Slamovich and Killer Kelly. They were shown on a split screen. And then they warned the Coven that they are going to take the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships. And I really enjoyed the production value of this. This felt very WWE-esque. This was great. I loved it. Whoever did this, whoever produced this, deserves a raise. This was excellent. Really good shit here. Loved it. Moving on. So Joe Hendry He's up next. So he did his usual Joe Hendry stuff. And then he teased Kenny King about his stripper career. The fans chanted stripper Kenny, which was great. So this leads us into Joe Hendry and Yu Uemura versus Kenny King and Sheldon Jean. So towards the end of the match, Joe Hendry was able to take off the hoodie of Kenny King. He threw it into the crowd. All the chicks went wild. This was great. I laughed my ass off in some of this shit. This was funny. I legit loved it. When Joe Hendry took off Kenny King's hoodie, I laughed my ass off. It was such good shit. I loved it. So Kenny King played it to perfection. He dipped out, and so this allowed for Joe Hendry to get the win via the standing ovation. I feel bad for Sheldon Jean, but it is what it is. I love where this is going, though. I do like it. Next, we had a Impact Plus flashback moment of the week. This was an Ultimate X match from 2013, so 10 years ago. It was won by your boy Chris Sabin, which is fine. So then Lio Rush, he is backstage. He gets on the mic and says that he was not here. He's not here to build Impact. He's here to win titles. He said we would find out at Slammiversary why he's called the Bad Child. Okay. Pretty good little promo there. So Gia Miller, she interviewed Chris Sabin backstage. Chris Sabin said that Lio was one of the most talented wrestlers he's ever seen. He listed his own accomplishments, and then Chris Sabin said that Lio would be humbled and be laying on his ass, and Chris Sabin would retain the title. Okay, stuff there. Next, this leads into a match that I didn't really give a shit about because I hate everyone involved except for one person. So that match was Rich Swann and Sami Callihan versus Moose and Brian Myers. The only one I like in the match is Moose. Thankfully, Moose got the win via a low blow into the spear for the 1-2-3. He got it off of a distraction involving Brian Myers. So this is pretty good stuff here. Again, they need to get rid of a lot of people in Impact, and I can think of three right there. Brian Myers, Sami Callihan, Rich Swann, Eddie Edwards, Diener, Frankie Kazarian. The list goes on and on and on. Make those guys backstage producers. Seriously, it's time. So, like I said before, I'm glad that Moose got the win there. Moving on. So, Subculture, they were backstage. They were talking about getting to the top and winning the tag titles at Slammiversary. Okay. Again, they're just using their NXT UK gimmick that haven't really changed much. I like them. They're basically like rock stars, basically. So I do like that for them. I'm not going to hold you guys up. I hope they do win at Slammiversary. Moving on. So Alan Angels, he cut a promo. He's finally free from the Design, the most shittiest faction in all of wrestling. Well, modern pro wrestling. Let's put it like that. Modern pro wrestling. So Alan Angels said that he had a chance to now spread his wings. Angels talked about the the Ultimate X match at Slammiversary, and said that he wanted to get to the top, and he said he would make his mark and X marks the spot. So, how much money do you guys want to bet is that the Design will get involved and cost Diener the match? I guarantee that's what's going to happen. Guaranteed. Diener and Khan are going to get involved and cost the match for Angels, guaranteed. Just throwing it out there, just putting it out there in the universe. I know. Moving on. So Nick Aldis, he's up next. He talked about being asked to return to Impact. He said that he would return, but his goal was the world title. He said that he was synonymous with being a world champion. Clips were shown from his early Impact days, and he talked about winning the title, which is fine. Which I do think that he'll win the title, if we're being honest. Main event. So this was Deonna Purrazzo's open challenge. So out comes Jody Threat. This was a pretty decent match here. In the end, Deonna Purrazzo wins and retains via the Venus de Mayo. Post-match, we went into some crazy AEW WWE territory. But before we get there, I want to say I'm glad that Jody Threat lost. But Jody Threat has been there for 3 months, and we have not been given an explanation as to why she's an Impact. She's not to cut a promo, which is weird. Why hasn't she cut a promo explaining why she's an Impact? I get she was in AEW Dark for a while. I get it. I think she was on AEW Dark for at least a good year or two, I think. And I think she may have made one Dynamite appearance, I think. Maybe. If not Dynamite, definitely Rampage. But she's been there for 3 months. Why in the fuck has she not been given a promo segment where she can explain why she's with Impact and why she signed with the promotion? Just a simple explanation is all I ask. Can we get that? All right, moving on. So the post-match segment was crazy. It was a massive brawl, basically. So post-match, Deonna Purrazzo was attacked by Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Jay Vidal. Then the Death Dolls, they came out to make the save. Then the Coven attacked the Death Dolls. Then Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly, they attacked the Coven. But then they got beat down by the numbers. Then Trinity came out for the save to a massive pop. Trinity cleared the ring. But then she backed into Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo dropped the belt. They both picked it up. Deonna Purrazzo hit Trinity first. But what I'm reading here says that Trinity hit her first, which was basically not true. So Deonna Purrazzo hit Trinity, and then Trinity hit her back, and then they started to brawl. Security came down, and they broke everything up, and the fans came and let them fight. So that was fine. Then, that's not the end of the show. So we get a video package hyping up all the Slammiversary competitors, or most of them. And then the final segment is Scott D'Amore. So he's on the phone and said that they tried everything. But this time, PCL couldn't come back to life. He asked the person on the phone, can you, as the camera focused on a Team Canada shirt. And that's how we go off the air. So I think it might either be one of 3 guys. It might be Eric Young. It might be Petey Williams. Or it could be Lance Storm. I don't know. My best bet is it might be Lance Storm. If not Lance Storm, definitely Petey Williams. So it was a pretty decent go-home show. It was okay for the most part. All right, let's get on into the predictions. We have, I think, 8 matches. 8 matches. Okay, so let's go on with the countdown to Slammiversary first. So we are going to get a 6-person tag. Jody Threat and the Death Dolls a.k.a. Courtney Rush and Jessica versus Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Jay Vidal. Okay. Hopefully, the Death Dolls and Jody Threat get the win. I don't give a single fuck about Giselle Shaw. I just don't. I do not. The only person that is actually savable and salvageable in that faction is Savannah Evans, who would actually be okay in WWE, because they could easily stick her into NXT, put her in the Performance Center, and she'll be a whole different person. That's just me. Moving on. Joe Hendry versus Kenny King is going to be on the pre-show, unfortunately. It's for the Digital Media Championship. I like Joe Hendry, but I also like Kenny King as well. But I want Kenny King to win, but I think that Joe Hendry is going to win and retain. So my final pick to win is going to be Joe Hendry. He's going to retain. Although I wish that Eddie Edwards and Frankie Kazarian could be on the pre-show as well, because I don't give a fuck about either of those guys. So let's start off with the main card. We'll start off with Frankie Kazarian and Eddie Edwards. Who really cares? Both of those guys should be backstage producers at this point. There's nothing more they can add to the business, if we're being honest. Who wins? I could give a shit less. Frankie Kazarian. Moving on. Bully Ray and Diener versus Scott D'Amore and a mystery partner. Again, I'm guessing Lance Storm, but I think he's retired. Maybe Petey Williams, but whoever it's going to be, we know that Scott D'Amore and his partner are going to win. And I don't care about this match because of Diener. Diener sucks. Diener is another person who should be a backstage producer, if we're being honest. Moving on. The Ultimate X match. Jonathan Gresham versus Mike Bailey versus Kevin Knight versus Angels versus Kushida. Main pick to win, probably Mike Bailey, because it is in Canada, so yeah. And then as a dark horse, maybe Jonathan Gresham. But Mike Bailey's going to win that for sure. I mean, they're in Canada for they're in Canada. Next, the Coven, which is Taylor Wilde and Kylan King versus Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich. Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly need to win this. This will be great. Next, the Fatal 4-Way for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. Chris Bey and Ace Austin versus Brian Myers and Moose versus Rich Swann and Sami Callihan versus Subculture, which is Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. I want my boys Subculture to win because I don't really give a shit about anyone else involved in the match outside of Chris Bey and Ace Austin. I like Moose, but him being paired down with Brian Myers, it makes my blood boil. Same thing with Rich Swann and Sami Callihan. Again, all those guys I just mentioned outside of Moose should be in a backstage producer role. It's time. So hopefully Subculture wins. Moving on, Leo Rush versus Chris Sabin for the Impact X Division Championship. Leo Rush needs to win this. Again, this needs to be a statement show. Impact needs to really start trying to go mainstream. Start actually building your promotion with stars instead of just constantly going to your tried and trues. And that's what this show needs to really be about, is where they end up changing the guard, because they do need some change in titles, and they need to be more of a serious promotion and get away from the indie shit. And with Leo Rush winning, that would be great, because it would make sense. Moving on. Deonna Purrazzo versus Trinity for the Knockouts World Championship. I think Trinity is going to win, but she'll probably win via a roll-up. And then you can continue the feud up until Bound for Glory. Main event, Alex Shelley versus Nick Aldis for the Impact World Championship. I'm going to go on a limb and say that Nick Aldis is going to win. Here's why. I think that Chris Sabin will lose earlier on in the night, and he'll be in the corner of Alex Shelley, but then he'll cost Alex Shelley the Impact World Championship, and those two can feud over that. And those two can continue their feud. I think that would be great. That a feud like that does not need a championship involved. It just doesn't. You can still give Alex Shelley his rematch down the line, but really and truthfully, Nick Aldis, Lio Rush, and Trinity all need to be champions. Because, like I said before, this needs to be a statement show. This has to be a statement show. Impact has got to really bring it for Slammiversary. Impact needs some massive changes. And with those three as champion, that could put them in a step of the right direction and actually be taken serious as a viable third promotion to go to if people can't get into WWE and AEW. Also, I hope that Impact gives us some surprises at Slammiversary as well. So hopefully we do see some new faces. But what did you guys think of the show? And let me know your predictions. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe for more videos. Peace.